Hello, everyone. Welcome to Empowering Women in Chiropractic. My name is Dr. Natalie Beauchamp. Excited today to talk about a topic that is very talked about often when it comes to us business owners. So, can you be out of the loop on social media and still build a successful practice? And I was myself an early adopter of Twitter, I guess, oh boy, 13, 14 years ago. I love social media and what it brings us in terms of accessibility. So, like to share my thoughts with you because the answer to this question brings me to my second slide here. It depends. It really does depend. So I want to walk you through questions to ask yourself and do kind of a inventory right now of what you're doing. I know myself, I've done a lot of different things throughout the years, and then somehow stop some of those strategies when it comes to social media. So let's pause and really give it a good assessment of what's happening for your social media into your practice. So first of all, we have to define success, and depending how long you've been in practice, of course, as a chiropractor, we want to serve as many people as possible and make an impact in our community. But I think it's important that we define success. And in general, also in life, what brings you fulfillment? What makes you happy? It's not just about, bottom line or the revenue. And sometimes we have to, assess how much we're loving practice when we're with patients, as opposed to completely just focusing on the numbers, because numbers are important, of course, but we have to really be clear with our definition of success. I think another big question to ask ourselves is, where are you in your practice right now? So I'm approaching, I guess, 26 years. And I think I want to say I've done it all from, dinner with the doctors, a wellness expo, mall screening, and all of that stuff. And I think, things are obviously changing, and social media gives access to just about everyone to put their message out there. So, for the practitioners that have been in practice for as long as I have, well, maybe you're at a different stage right now, but I really still believe that there's a minimum requirement that we need to be out there, to have your brand out there and a good image of who you are and what your clinic represents in your community. Now, if you're a new grad, fantastic, because you don't have to necessarily go to the mall all weekend and stand and talk to people. Not to say that it's not good to do, but it just gives you different tools that 25 years ago we did not have. So I think you have to ask yourself the question, where are you in your practice right now, and what makes more sense in terms of where you're spending your time, energy, and your money as well. And I think another question to ask ourselves is, what are your main sources of new patients right now? So I know when we have new patients coming into practice, we ask who referred you. And I have to say that a large amount of our patients are referral, which I'm sure is probably the case for you guys. But when people look for you, when you have an amazing online presence and a good website, it just gives you that extra credibility that they're not having a hard time finding you. So depending on, again, what your source of new patient is, you can kind of customize and see, what, we're getting 80% of our patients in term of referral, so which is great. So the other 20%, what time do you want to spend on reaching out to a new audience versus putting your time and energy into your processes in the clinic. The other thing that I think is important, because like I said, I think I've done it all when it comes to Facebook advertising and all of that stuff. Are you clear on who you want to attract? Because I know throughout the years I've done campaigns to attract different types of patient in terms of what symptoms they had and so forth. And I remember doing one specifically that just didn't attract right people for me and to my practice. And I found that instead of being energized to work with these people, it just kind of got heavy. And I'm like, this is not my happy place. So whatever your marketing expert is telling you, which will work to bring patients into your practice, you really have to be clear on who it is that you want to work with. And of course, as chiropractor, we're a marketer's nightmare, because they say, who do you want to help? And we always say everyone, but it doesn't work that way. So what I'm saying is, you don't want to be too broad, but you really want to make sure that you're talking to the audience that you want to attract. So I wrote down here, the year is 2022. So that being said, I believe that there are some basic online tools and a certain amount of presence that we need to have online. So modern websites, I know, a year and a half ago, I just, went back to the drawing board and just redid my entire website. It was painful, it was long, but I was happy after it was done, because you just keep building over top. And sometimes you're like, okay, if I'm a stranger getting onto my website, what do I see here? And is it giving me the right feel and the right amount of confidence in the person? Am I talking to the person that I want to attract? Easy online booking is a must. I cannot say that strongly enough. If you don't have online booking yet, you have to figure out your platform, your software, that to make it possible. I know myself, I guess 8 years ago, I asked my provider when they were thinking of doing it, and I didn't like the answer. So I finagle something with other technology that we're still using to this day, even though my provider now has online booking. I have a good system, and we want to make it accessible for people and easy for them to book online. I think it's also important to have a system to get Google reviews. There's different providers out there. Big fan of ReviewWave. There's other companies out there that will help you with that. And if you don't have that, at least have some sort of system in the office, that it is with your text confirmation, or at least email, just to make sure that you nurture getting reviews, because that is the first thing I think people are looking at now, your number of reviews and the star system compared to your competitor. People are shopping before they come to see you, which is not a bad thing, because then, like I said, you're going to attract the right people. I'm a big fan of Google My Business in terms of what it can bring to the equation. I know they just changed the name not too long ago, but my team and I are really diligent at making Google happy when it comes to contributing content. Regular blog posts again, and blog posts that are, I'm the author of the book Hack Your Health Habits. I also have another brand, drnataliebeauchamp.com, which is more lifestyle health recommendation. But when it comes to the clinic, you have to focus on what people are going to be searching for. So it might be a bit boring for us, but it is the neck pain, the back pain, the headaches, and so forth. So I have discovered we can't go too fancy onto different topics to make it kind of irrelevant of what the person is going to look for. There's tons of tool online now, or just type in the Google search whatever you think, and the sentence will get filled in. And there's other platforms that do that as well. So consistency is key there. Google Ads, obviously a good one to have. Facebook and Instagram as well, I think, are some of the basic ones that you want to put content on. And I know, like just a couple of days ago, we posted our blog for the clinic, and I just boosted it a little bit to give it a little bit more traction. I mean, with Facebook, Instagram, you can target your area more effectively. And then I put TikTok with a question mark. And again, it depends where you're at. You're in your practice. If I was a young practitioner, dang, I'd be on that thing like crazy. I have a TikTok channel, but it's more for my Dr. Nally as an author. But again, there are tools now for the younger practitioners that may not have the big budget to market to be out there and give people, tips on whatever is congruent with your way of practicing. Now, next, I think we have to also, and I go back to success here. So it's one thing for us to have patients coming in, but there are many things that we need to make sure that are happening for us to be successful. So we do need business system, and I believe I spoke about that a while back, but I'm all about systems. I'm all about training my team to inside of those systems, so we make sure that we hit the goals with every patient that comes into our practice. So booking qualified leads starts with the phone call. So again, if it is a warm lead versus someone shopping, like, it's so important that your staff knows how to answer. So you put your criteria with the staff. So we have 3 criteria that my staff knows that a patient needs to hit those 3 criteria before we can book them in. If not, we book them for a phone consultation. I get on the phone and I can see if there's a fit and if I can help them. Same thing with the D1 and the day 1 and the D2 processes. I think it's important as chiropractors. I just said that this week. Oftentimes, unfortunately, we're the last resorts for many people, and I think us doing an awesome job at educating people of what's going on, I think, is so crucial. Especially now, some doctors are still not seeing, not chiropractors, but other practitioners are not seeing patient face to face, and people really feel unheard and that no one is listening. So I think we have such a huge advantage being knee to knee and touching these patients. So conversion, again, making sure that you have the right step in place, that your team is trained for it. And then retention as well. And I have to say that retention with what has happened in the last 2 years have been a little bit more challenging, because we would promote getting adjusted to maximize your immune system function and so forth. So that's been a little bit more challenging, but yet I know that in the thick of things, things had gone down with that, but now it's ramping back up. And the more I communicate the long-term effects and the benefits of chiropractic care, I think people are even more receptive to it. Ongoing education, you have your patients for a small amount of time in your office. So what else could you do to leverage what you know? So I have tons of educational campaign and buckets that I like to put my patients in if they have, let's say, gut issue or inflammation issue and so forth. So I kind of joke with my patients that, okay, tell me what you need, because I can overwhelm the heck out of you with all the information that I have to support you. So let's work together. And, I'm just trying to drip the content to them. First of all, the content that's relevant to them, and drip the content in small amounts. And then staff training, always key for our team to be on the same page as we are. Now, other consideration for our social media, and I'm just going to rapid fire on this, but I think we can all understand that videos is just much stronger than a static post. But the question is, do you like being in front of the camera? And that's another thing. I talk to a colleague and they just don't like being in front of the camera somehow. So you have to figure out what strategy will work well for you. But that being said, I know we use Canva for graphics quite a bit, and you can literally make videos with graphics. So again, we just have to be creative. The other question to ask ourselves too is, do you have a preset social media calendar? I find that this is so helpful, knowing ahead of time what your blog's gonna be about, what your Google My Business posts are gonna be about, what your social media posts are gonna be about. And I'm all about, and I'll talk about that in a further down point, but to reuse my content in many, many ways. So I try to, put the work into the content, for the bigger picture, and then how else can we leverage all this? Clear on SEO keyword and what kind of people you want to attract. As I mentioned, I somehow love working with people with headaches and migraine. I am so pleased with the changes that it can make in their lives. So this is something that we do regular campaign. I have a quiz, all of the things to try to focus on helping these folks. And then also potentially, if you have someone on your team that you could leverage and place in charge, if you have younger staff member that are outgoing and just love that kind of stuff, just sit down with them, structure it, organize, and then let them, create stuff. And then you still need to approve, obviously, just to make sure that the message is correct. But I mean, it's if it's not your happy place, then just delegate to someone on your team. Just make sure that you keep an eye on it. Another set of question too is using publishing tools to make life easier. Now I know Facebook has its calendar and all of that, but we use a tool. I've used Buffer. I think right now we're using Later. So it's just a good way to have your calendar and know exactly what's coming, and it's pretty inexpensive. But again, you probably don't even need that. Repurposing the content multiple times. This is something that I just talked about, but let's say it's summer, gardening season, low back pain. Okay, what can you do with a blog on this and giving people tools and tips and just leveraging it many, many different ways. One other thing that I do as well is I batch my video shoots. So actually doing this afternoon, I have a team member coming to my house because it's not just for the clinic, but for my books and so forth. And we've got a list of potentially 15 videos that we're going to do today. And then we just take the content and then just make sure that we insert it in the calendar. I find it so much easier to do this. Now, that's just me. I know some people are quite easy to just, hey, just hop on and chat. You have to go with your personality. But I find with me, I make a list of topics and tools or whatever I want to talk about, and then just go to town. Then she has the content, and then we can start creating the written content as well that will go with it. Are you also giving your patient a reason to follow you on social? This is something I've done recently. I literally put a sign beside my adjustment tables, and it says connect with Dr. Nally at Dr. Nally on Instagram and so forth. And I'm amazed how many people didn't know I was on Instagram and didn't know that I was doing all of those things. And some of them are commenting, and I slowed down a few weeks ago on populating the videos, and people, oh, Natalie, you're not posting as much. I really enjoy you testing products or whatever it is. So it's fun, and it's right there, and people can literally go and follow you. Giving them a reason also is delivering good content, delivering information that will be valuable to them. So when they come into the clinic, and if you have, let's say, vitamins, or you sell orthotics or whatever, you're pushing the information through the social. They can go and read on your website and on their own. But then when they're coming back, they have done their research, so it feels comfortable for them to either ask you about the pillow or whatever else you might have in your office. So as you can see, and I go back to full circle here, as can you be out of the loop on social media and still build a successful practice? And I'll still finish with the same statement that it depends. And I think it can be overwhelming sometimes when we're looking at other clinics and what they're doing and go, oh my goodness, I'm not doing enough of that. And I think at the end of the day, I like to think of marketing as many plates that we're spinning. And it's good to have an awesome online social media strategy to attract patients, but we can't forget the other pieces of the puzzle with the education, the conversion, and the retention. So that's why it's super important to monitor our process. So I know for me, I've gone into some waves, if you want, spending more time on social than others. But I think at the end of the day, as I said, there are some basic minimum requirement that you want to have a good presence. And like I said, for the people that are being referred to you by friends and family, that they go, my goodness, I can't find her or I can't find him. Or my goodness, her website looks like it's out of the 70s. So I think it's important that we have a good brand and a brand that is representative of who we are. So hopefully I made you think and I made you do that pause to assess where are you right now? Because when you've been in practice for a long time, oh, I used to do this, I used to do this. So, okay, we can't keep going or doing everything, but it's not a bad thing sometimes to just sit back and say, okay, why did we stop doing this? Is it because it didn't work? What else could we do? Or who else could we put in charge of that to have better results and create some engagement in our community? So hopefully you enjoyed today's show, Empowering Women in Chiropractic. And again, thank you so much to ChiroSecure for putting on those shows. I'm always excited to get on and talk to colleagues and listening to the other shows as well, because it's awesome to see the great things that people are doing out there. So again, Dr. Natalie Beauchamp, and thank you very much for tuning in today.
Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. We hope you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live event. Please like us on Facebook, comment, and share. We look forward to seeing all of you next week for another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Now, go ahead and hit the share button and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. This has been a ChiroSecure production.